So, hello. My name is Catherine Van Arendonk. I am a critic for Vulture and New York Magazine, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to this panel for All Creatures Great and Small. I want you to please give a warm round of applause for Callum Woodhouse, for Nicholas Ralph, and for Anna Madeley. I am beyond delighted to have you all here. This is a show that I know I found at a moment where I was pretty sad. It was the middle of the pandemic. I think a lot of people encountered this show at that moment. And I think it had a huge impact on how a lot of people felt like comfort and warmth, but also humanity and seriousness were still part of culture that they could feel connected to. I know my mom personally has seen it 4 times. So I want to talk about that and about the way that the show has really hit people in a really personal way. But I think, you guys all came to this show before that even began, and I wonder if we could just start with you, Callum, talking about how you first found this show. Like, did you know anything about the previous series, the books, the character? What was your audition like?
I actually wasn't familiar with the show at all. I just got the audition through, and it was in Manchester. I live in London, and I've never actually travelled before for an audition. Outside of a city, basically. And I got a train down, and the train got delayed, and it was like I was on the train 30 minutes after what my time was, and I was just and it's so stressed. And then I got off the train and sprinted to where the audition was so I could get there in faster time. Then got there and was just completely out of breath and so sweaty. And I was like, well, I can't go in like this. So now I have to wait for 10 minutes to relax. And so I went in, and the sort of casting assistant took one look at me and was like, take 5 minutes. And I was like, okay. And then I went in, and it was just, Brian Percival, our director, and Richard Burrell, our producer. And we basically just chatted for about an hour. And then towards the end of the hour, Richard Burrell just sort of went, oh, we need to do the audition. And I was like, oh yeah, I've completely forgot that's why we were here. And then we sort of did the 3 scenes in maybe 5 minutes, and then I left, and just sort of left feeling like, if I don't get this, I've met some incredible people and just had a really, really lovely chat with 2 amazing professional people. And then I think it was 2 days later I got the call. So yeah.
Nicholas, what was it like for you?
Yeah, I was up in Scotland doing some theatre at the time when the first one came through. So I was auditioning in Glasgow, then I went to Manchester and had various rounds. And then once I got the job, then there was 10, I did chemistry reads then with 10 Helens, with 10 potential Helens. So, which I was more nervous about that, because I was like, I've got the job, they don't. What about if I muck up their audition? So I was more nervous that time. But at the end of that, they said, is there anyone instinctively that you feel that you had good chemistry with? And instantly I said Rachel Shenton, who then went on to get the part of Helen, which was amazing. The next round was just me and her. So it was brilliant. It just felt right. And then I went on holiday, forgot all about it. Before I got the part, I went on holiday, forgot all about it. And I was open sea kayaking off the shore of Marseille. So we stopped on this little island for lunch.
Lovely.
Yeah. And we stopped at this island for lunch, and I had missed calls from my agent. And so I phoned her back, and she said, well, you need to pack your bags because you're heading to Yorkshire. And I was just like, this is insane. I was like, I'm on an island off the coast of Marseille. It was 25 degrees and sunny. It was. I did feel like I was in dreamland, and it's been a joy ever since. So,
Anna, what was it like for you?
Well, I neither travelled far. I went upstairs to my bedroom to do a self-tape. And I had my lovely friend Tom Godwin, an actor, come round and help me out. I knew nothing about cricket, so he taught me all the cricket references for Mrs. Hall. So I owe him the job, really. And yeah, we just did the tapes in my room, and I was offered the job off the back of that. I didn't actually meet anybody until they'd offered it. And then I had a really wonderful chat with Richard Burrell, our producer, and Melissa Gallant, our executive producer, and they talked me all through it and their ideas for it. And I'd worked with Brian before, so it was fantastic to get to work with him again, and he talked me through all the ideas. But it was also partly because Mrs. Hall isn't particularly in the books, so when I was offered to meet for her, I wasn't quite sure what the part was going to be. And Ben Vanston had written this incredible character who just lifted off the page. So I had enormous fun doing the scenes and just thought, yeah, I've had a great time doing them, and fingers crossed, but if not, it's been really fun working on it, and then got it. So I've had a lot of fun for 3 years now.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you, because Mrs. Hall is so much more of an invention for this series, I was curious if there are elements of her that were sort of surprising or exciting for you as a new presence for what this story is. I think I grew up, I read the books, and it was very much about James, and that's kind of and to realize how much more there are other people in their lives who like make their lives work, you know. And I was just curious what parts of her you found sort of surprising or exciting.
Well, I think the thing that I've valued so much throughout the process has been that Ben Vanston and the team really thought about her backstory, her history, who she was, where she came from. So she really worked in that world because we really want to honour the spirit of the books. That's sort of our sort of bar, isn't it? That we want to maintain that. And so it was wonderful that she was a character who came in and fitted into that world and had her own story. But I think she's wonderful as a character because she opens up the emotional world of that household. Her relationship with the guys means you get to know everybody's inner life and inner world, and it's part of the farce and the fun. I think she's a great character that, you know, you have those huge arguments with Mr. Farnan, and then there can be some really serious scenes as well. What they do is really important, and but it's a sort of house of chaos and love and warmth, and she embraces all of that. And I think she has it was just such beautifully written, defined relationships between them all. So that was really fun. It really mattered that she fitted in that world. It wasn't a sort of strange being in there, and so I love playing her.
I know, I mean, Nicholas, I think this is one of your first major, really big screen credits. It's a big role for your first, and it's not just that you are, in a lot of ways, the sort of central character of the show, but it is also that he is an iconic character for people who love these books. I mean, the earlier series is still very beloved. It gets checked out of American libraries all the time, like it is. Did that freak you out at all, or did you just? Because the other thing I was thinking is that the pilot is a young man who does not really know what he's getting himself into, and then has this opportunity to learn this world. It seems like a potentially a really nice fit for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a bit of art imitating life in that. Even the real man, Alf White, James said it was his pen name. He studied in Glasgow Veterinary College, and then his first big job, he got on a train and a bus off to the Yorkshire Dales to work under Donald Sinclair as the real Siegfried Farnan. And I graduated from drama school in Glasgow, and my first big job, I got onto a train to the Yorkshire Dales, much like the man himself. So it was, kind of bizarre like that. But coming up to a character like this, of course, there was definitely nerves. Definitely nerves, like big Wellington boots to fill, beloved character and series before. I didn't watch the previous series because you don't want to end up copying anything, wanted it to be my own interpretation. But the books were my main, the books were, my Bible. I went to them all the time. But the overriding thing was just one of excitement. I just couldn't wait to get started. It's something that I've wanted to do for so long. I've watched all my favorite actors behind scenes on set and everything like that. And so I was just really excited. I remember we got dropped off at the on day one at the tech base, where it's just like catering truck and your trailer and stuff like that. And I was with one of the execs, and I got off and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And she was like, you think this is cool? I was like, this is so cool. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and working with these guys, you know, it's just been brilliant.
Callum, I know. I think part of what makes the show work as well as it does is its tonal range and the way that it combines comedy and tragedy. And it does feel like Tristan is really holding down the comedy fort in a lot of, which is not to say that it is not a baton that gets passed around. But it, particularly in the beginning, it feels like that's kind of his role. And then you shade in all of these other colors about who this character is. Was that an element that there's moments when it's almost slapsticky, right? When you're doing some pretty big physical acting. Is that something that's comfortable for you?
I mean, a tease for series 3 is I wrestle with a cat. So yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's a little bit of slapstick going on there, totally, yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, the humor of it. I remember getting the part and starting to read the books, and just absolutely like crying, laughing at the books, and it was all stuff that Tristan was doing. So I was just like, I can't wait to actually be doing this on set. But I think over the course of the series, you sort of do find out, like, you know, a bit of Tristan's backstory, and there is like a sort of tragic element to his life, which he has obviously used humor to deal with. So yeah, I think that's the nice combination of the two that you were talking about. Yeah.
I think it's very easy and right to be distracted by how beautiful Yorkshire is, right? I mean, these incredible shots, vistas. And I wanted to ask you, it seems like you have to spend at least like quite a lot of time driving in very old, frightening-looking cars on terrifying roads. What is it like to shoot those?
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, the Siegfried's Green Rover, you've driven that one as well, is an absolute dream to drive. It's amazing. I love the days when we're filming that one. The other cars are an absolute nightmare. There's like no brakes. There's just hand brakes. So when you think you might want to stop, you want to pull the handbrake on maybe like 5 minutes before, because hopefully it'll just trundle to that stop there. Like the handles didn't work, so I had to like put my arm out of the door to open the door. Oh, it was, yeah.
But it is like the little blue one is like 92. It's authentic. It's like 92 years old or 90 years old, and it's got this big long gear stick. The only time I've ever seen it is on the school bus when we were kids. Me and my brother had a big long thin gear stick with a knob on top, and it waggles around like this, as much in neutral as it does in gear. So you just throw it in a general direction and you just hope it sticks, and you're like hold on tight.
So they must be teaching you how to drive these cars. Like, do you just spend a day, or do they just throw you in the car?
Sort
and
of
you're like,
5 minutes.
Yeah, they teach us how to drive them. Yeah,
5 minutes.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Will you be all right in that? Yeah, should be. Sweet.
So, as I was saying, it's very easy to get distracted by how incredible the vistas are. But as I was going back and rewatching for this panel, I was just I was amazed by how beautiful Scaledale House is as a set. It is so twisty and cramped in ways that feel right, and you're bumping into each other all the time. Could you tell me a little bit about that set? Is it a bunch of different places that are sort of shot all for one house, or is it a stairway over here? And I don't know anything about how you actually put that space together.
Well, there's a front of Scaledale House that is in Grassington, where they build the front porch on it, and then they dress all of Grassington, so the adverts go up on the walls and the fronts of the shops are all done. There's the back of the house in another village, a very beautiful village, and then the interior is all our set, which is amazing. It's in a huge warehouse. I think it used to be a ship factory or something, and they've converted it all into a studio. So there's the main bulk of the house, and then there's a random sort of stairwell sometimes we use for another bit of bedsit. And then they've just built Helen's kitchen as well. So some of it's in there, but the main house is in there, and it's absolutely beautiful. You go in there, and it just feels like a home where you want to sit and put the kettle on and have a cup of tea and chill out by the fire. It's stunning, and it's really beautifully designed for our purposes as well, because it's based on the real property, but the real house had very tiny rooms where they did the vet work. It was minuscule, so obviously you wouldn't be able to get the cameras into that kind of space and the 50 crew who come in with us. And so it's a lot bigger than that. But Brian helped design, Jackie, our designer, were really smart about there are so many different ways in and out of all the rooms. You can be in an enclosed space if you want to, but you can also have the length of the house. It opens up and shuts down in many ways. So that lends itself to, if you want to have a big fast, when we have our big arguments, we can trump about the vast, go around in circles and drive each other nuts in the house. But you can also have quite an intimate scene, say in my pantry, if you're Tristan, or wherever. So it does many things, and I think it's been fascinating. All the directors have been able to use it in really different ways. It's been really versatile for us at the same time, because we've hopefully filming for a long time, so we don't want to sort of feel like there's only certain setups you can do. There's a lot to play in. There with, and it's just beautiful, isn't it? The detail in it, the wallpapers, the props that are in there. I mean, we sort of steal everything, don't we, from the museum up in Thirsk? So that's empty while we're shooting. Don't go while we shoot. It's all on our set.
That's the Harriet Museum, where you can go.
They're really generous, and they lend us quite a lot of.
The medicine room in particular, that whole wall of like the bottles and jars of things. That entire wall is basically from the real place. I think the guy who runs the Harriet Museum came to look around our set, and when he got to the medicine room, I think he got quite overwhelmed, didn't he? Because he was just like, that looks exactly like how it was.
I think part of why it is so effective is that the show is so great at demonstrating how much this is like a professional world and a personal world, and it's sort of all crammed together. And on that set, that's what it is. It's where they're living, and it is where they're working, and just everyone is constantly bumping up into each other's spaces. The food I was going to ask about, because it does look really great.
It is.
Tastes good as well.
It's very nice.
So you all get to actually, it's not like mashed potatoes for ice cream that you're constantly stuck eating?
No, we all get so excited whenever there's, they're quite clever. They schedule like the breakfast scenes at the start of the day. Wow. So then me and Nick will be coming in and we'll be like, it's a breakfast scene first, don't get anything from the show. So then we just go in and just live the scene.
They always want us to leave set, don't they? But we're still there eating. It's like, we're moving on. We finished that scene. Go.
I think there was one of the actors came in who hadn't done many scenes in Skeldale House before, and we were around the table having the breakfast, and there's a big fry up, like everything you would want. And then we stopped filming. I think it was 4, so it was like we had to break anyway. So we just sat and they were like, "Cut, you can leave, guys." Oh, we're fine. We just had the breakfast. It was absolutely delicious. And they were like, so this is what you get up to when you film in Skeldale House, and it's the cooking scenes, you get all this food.
Yeah, and there's a wonderful kitchen just off set.
It's gorgeous. I mean, the Skeldale House kitchen is beautiful, but I had to imagine whoever is actually making the food.
There's a magical lady called Bethany who makes the food. And so, it's always lovely when she's in cooking, because then the set smells nice too. It's great. So she works her wonders there and brings them in. Yeah, she's incredible.
So, as we know, you spend a great deal of time working with co-stars who cannot speak English. They are many different species. I first wanted to ask just about the challenge of acting with animals. It seems like it would create both huge opportunities for performance, but also giant headaches, depending on what you get or don't get to play off of. As an actor, are those scenes that you're dreading, or are those scenes that you're excited about?
Kind of mixed bag, because
it varies from animal to animal, doesn't it?
And the size of the animal.
You get some animal stars that just come in, act you off the screen, and leave. Yeah. like quite very simply, nobody's looking at you. So, like,
Yeah.
and
Well, yeah. So, I mean, this is what look. I want gossip about the animals. That's what I'm here for. And so what I've done is I have a series of clips, and I want to watch them, and then I want you to tell me all the gossip about the animals in those scenes. So if we could just watch the first one, because I just have a suspicion that this is a real diva situation. Get the first.
Oh, come on, please, Tricky. The pub's just there. It's no distance at all. Hey, there might be a lady dog in there. I won't crack. No, I'm not carrying you. Genuinely, I'm not.
How does it look?
Heart rate is very slow. I'm going to give him a shot of adrenaline to help bring him out of the anesthetic. Thank you. Come on, Tricky. Time to wake up. Tricky. It's Christmas morning. I'm sure Mrs. P has loads of presents for you at home. Merry Christmas, little man.
Oh, yea, Lord, we greet thee.
Good morning. Get stuck in.
All right. Tell me about this fine, fine creature.
I mean, where can you start with Derek? He actually is a consummate professional. He's wonderful. There's a story that I think I've told before, but I mean, it's just the best story ever. Is that there was one scene where we directed it that Sam was meant to walk into the kitchen, and then Derek walks in the hallway behind him and like looks at him, and then Sam walks into the pantry, and then Derek walks after Sam. So he started filming it, and Sam walked into the kitchen, then Derek followed him after, and then Sam forgot what he had to do next, and Derek just sort of looked at him and just went, and like walked into the pantry and was like, "We go in here, remember?" And he remembered what he had to do, but Sam completely forgot. So he really is like, he knows what he's doing better than we do sometimes.
A scene like a surgery scene with an animal seems really challenging. They have to, I assume sometimes you use dummies. Yeah. But then there has to also be the shot where they lie still and wake up, which seems like the real challenge. Is Derek good at that, or what's the...
Well, he just falls asleep.
It's brilliant. We did, so the scene prior to that one when I'm anesthetizing him. So I do the injection and Derek's there and he's being wonderful as always. And then the director just said, right, everyone, shh, be quiet. And Derek just I did the injection and Derek just slowly. And then the director said, cut, and he went.
Cup of tea.
Honestly, consummate professional. Nobody's looking at you. You don't have to worry about it because.
Are dogs in general some of the easiest? I know you work with whoever the real name of the golden retriever is, who lives at Scaledale House. Ernie.
Ernie, who plays Jess, yeah.
Are dogs tend to be good co-stars?
Well, they vary. I mean, Derek, as we've heard, is excellent at hitting a mark and doing what's... Ernie's brilliant at it, but only if you've just done it with him and you've left the correct trail of little bits of whatever it is he fancies that day. So I often have a handful of treats or something about me if he's coming with me. But yeah, if you've done it more than 5 minutes ago, it's completely gone.
Well, I mean...
He's loopy.
It's relatable.
Adorably loopy, but...
Very
but
relatable. All right, we need our next animal clip.
Oh, good God!
All right, tell me about this pig.
Right. There is a story about this pig, actually. So, obviously, the whole storyline with that pig is that he's meant to be this, like, really scary, aggressive pig that charges at me. And we had an absolute nightmare filming that scene because that is the friendliest pig that has ever lived. And he just wanted to be everyone's mate. He wanted to be, like, stroked by people. And we was like, no, you need to look aggressive. You need to look scary. He was just, like, trying to cuddle up to people and stuff. So that actually was really tricky to film, that entire sequence, because they just found a pig was just too nice.
How do you get a pig to run?
Just put some food.
Yeah.
Everything's motivated by food.
Oh, it's food.
Yeah, it's
for
all
sure.
food.
For sure.
Yeah.
How many
That's
times?
two.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we heard about Scaledale House. How many times do you have to jump over the fence for that?
Oh God, I can't even remember. I don't know. I was fully covered in mud.
Sure.
So a good few times, I think. Yeah. Sam was enjoying me doing that. Yeah.
Next clip, please.
Mr. Alderson.
Oh, God. Good boy. Good lad. Oh, bugger this.
Go on, get. Oh. Hold this one for me. Thanks. Come here, you. Come here. That's him. Thanks. Just don't look him in the eye.
That is so good.
I believe we have a special respondent for this clip. So if we could just go to our special.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, I just want to say I'm so sorry that I can't be there in person. I've had to work, unfortunately. But watching that clip, well, it feels like such a long time ago, but two things spring to mind. One was there was a time where Clive's eye line, Clive is the name of the bull, needed to be right behind the camera. So the animal handler was stood behind the camera with a bucket of treats so that he was, looking at them. And I don't know what was happening. Clive just fancied a treat and he made a beeline for the animal handler, and I have never seen so many men scatter so quickly. They literally, in all different directions. Nick was on that wall for real, leaving me with Clive. And they say chivalry's dead. And the second one was, as you saw from the scene, my action was to come out of the stable, go over to Clive, tie him up, and then walk over and deliver my line to Nick. But what kept happening was I would come over to Clive and then he'd wander off and do his own thing. And he's a 2-ton bull, so he just does what he wants. And the reset takes one or two men to kind of, drag him round and get him back to where they want him to be. And I'd watched it a few times and I just thought, you know what, if it happens again, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get his head collar. How hard can it be? And grapple with him to get him back into the place he's supposed to be and tie him up so they don't have to cork up. And I was kind of praying that it didn't happen, but it did. And I did it. I walked around the sort of paddock area with him, tied him up, walked over to Nick to deliver my line, and very nearly forgot the dialogue because I was so proud of myself, and my adrenaline was pumping. So yeah, that's what springs to mind when I look at that clip.
It's lovely. That's from the pilot. Was that also a really early scene that you shot?
Yeah, it was very early on. Yeah, I mean, like the pig, we're very lucky because Clive was played by Jester, who has a bigger. He's won more awards and has a bigger CV than me. He's been in so many different shows and and a multi-award-winning bull. So he was very friendly as well. He was very gentle, but I was still getting out of the way. If he took even a step towards me, I was gone. So. But yeah, Rach handled it so well. It was great, and I think just setting markers for what we had to do. We just had to dive in with these animals. We did animal boot camp, and it was the same. We just had to dive in, get up close and personal with them, and
Wait. What's animal boot camp?
So before we started filming, we went out with our on-set vet, Andy Barrett, and we just got up close and personal with cows, sheep, horses, day one. So he was just like, here's a cow. On you go.
do you remember when he took us to the horse? So he took us to this farm of a guy that he knew who owned a bunch of horses that we could go and sort of meet. And as he was parking up the car, he was just like, "So yeah, this farmer who owns these horses, he had a really bad accident a couple of years ago. One of the horses that we're about to meet just laid down on him and broke his back. Anyway, let's go meet these horses." And we were all just like locked the car doors. We're like, no.
Yeah, but what's worse was he was a farrier, so he was like he was tending to one of the hoofs, and then we got there, and Andy was like, right, so here's a hoof knife. So what you're going to do is you pick up the hoof, and I was like, we're doing the thing that the guy did when the horse lay on him. I was like, could you not tell us that after we've done it?
Wow. Okay. I have more animal boot camp questions, but let's keep going. So our next clip, please.
In there, now.
Well, what a wonderful
Hello, pretty boy.
and varied turnout. Well, given the range of animals, I'm going to ask the owners to show me just how much they know their pets. Just a couple of questions about the habit and upkeep. How does that sound?
Not your face.
Right, then let's begin.
So this seems like a challenge because there are so many animals in one room, which does not look like you can cheat. I mean, it may be a little, like a couple shots of a bird and then a couple shots of a rabbit, but at some point you're going to have a wide shot that's going to have a lot of animals in it. Yeah. How do you handle that? It seems like and child actors also, which, I mean, they're incredibly professional, but then you've got child actors with animals on their laps. How do you shoot a scene like that?
It actually went really smoothly. It was really good having all those animals there, and Jerry the parrot, it was so cool. But the only slight problem we had at the first couple of runs was the kitten kept running away. And then I think you saw in the back of shot Ruby. What breed is Ruby? The kind of beige
Labrador, right?
Beige Labrador in the background. She just always flips onto her belly and wants to be scratched. So we're starting the scene, and like, there you go, Ruby, and she, boom. Straight over, and you can see in that shot she's trying to go. She's trying to go. Like, because she just loves it. So between her flipping over and the kitten running away, that was about that. The measuring stick caused me more problems than the animals did. That measuring stick, I hit my shin about 20 times. I hit other people. I tripped up over it. It was a menace.
I've never seen him more angry than when he had to like. You come in and be like, you need the measuring stick for this, and his face would just.
But because the bit, so it's like really tall, obviously, and it's got the bit that comes out. Yeah. So like we're shooting a scene and the camera's here, and I'm like that. Yeah, well, I think the problem with the horses, and then it just goes right over my face, and I'm like, ah, for God's sake. So animals, sweet measuring sticks. Steer clear.
Yeah.
Okay, I have two more animal clips. Let's go to the next one.
There she is. What a grand un. Hello, little one. Hello. Yeah. That's good. A healthy wee lamb.
Got there in the end.
Okay, so the baby animals seems like a logistical challenge as well. I imagine you have to wait until there are baby lambs because otherwise it's not like you can just create them out of nothing. Is that seasonal timing? Are they?
That was lambing season,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And I think they sort of always get a couple of lambs who are pregnant. So like there's more than one, isn't there? And they sort of what's that? What was that thing that they put on the end of their tails? Do you remember? And it's like it links to like an app in your phone. Yeah. And it's like she's potentially about to give birth on your phone, and it's like, right, get to the farm. And there's almost like a splinter camera unit, almost like a documentary crew of camera crew, and they just get there and film this birth, and it's Andy Barrett, the guy who did the boot camp with us. It's usually his arms, right? Yeah.
First of all, why don't we have apps for people that tell you
That's
when
be
babies
amazing,
are coming?
right? Yeah.
This is an immediate question that I have. Second, at some point, you do actually have to interact. You have what looks like your arms inside of animals sometimes. Mm-hmm. How real is that?
It's a mix. So just before we started, I think the year before, the rules for animals in entertainment changed. So you can't do anything to an animal that, one, you're not trained to do, and two, that the animal doesn't require. So, thank goodness for that. It's a long time coming, but and also great for me. But so what we have now is we've got a mix between live animals and prosthetics. So like the birthing of the calf in episode 1 of season 1. That's a real cow in the wide shots, and with my arm kind of like along its spine, just with hay over it, and my shoulder jutted to the area that it needs to be in. And then for the closer ones, they've got the back prosthetic a back end of a cow that's fully functional for the actual birthing of it. But as Cal says, it's intercut with this documentary footage that they film with the real live births as well, which is really fun. And those lambs were, I think, 48 hours old when we filmed. Yeah. So it was like so much fun. Because in the Christmas episode, in the end of season 1, there was puppies. And we were like, me and Rachel were like, oh, my puppies. And then we got there and there was no puppies. Because they did it separate, because they have to do it separate again. So we were like, the writers owe us one. So we said, the writers owe us one. And that was like day 2 of season 2 was the 40 hours old lamb. So it paid off, yeah.
All right, last animal clip, please.
Do you not think the good colonel could benefit from seeing some of your handiwork up close?
You really are full of good ideas at the moment, James. Yes, Colonel, come in. Come in. That's it. That's it. A little closer. Scalpel, please. Thank you. Ready, Colonel?
Oh, get on with it, Farnham.
Absolutely. That's what the problem was. What do you make of that?
Farnham, what the?
It's Mr. Farnham, and my bill will be in the post. Well, I thought that went rather well.
Absolutely.
Quite the show.
Textbook.
You see how well I got away with it there? Nothing.
We do also have a special respondent for this scene.
Hello, everyone at Vulture Fest. Hi, Nick. Hi, Rach. Hi, Cal. Hi, Anna. It's Sam. I wish I could be there to celebrate our wonderful show with you, but I'm on stage in the Netherlands. Nevertheless, it was wonderful to see that clip again. Probably my favourite scene in the whole of Series 2, and a really good example of what I love about All Creatures. First of all, wonderful people to play off. You can see how much Nick and Cal and I are enjoying it, and that's real laughter at the end of the scene there. Plus, I get a chance to be quite funny, which is quite rare. And we have wonderful guest stars. I've wanted to cover James Fleet in Green Slime for years. Never liked him. He was very nice about it, though. And also great animal work. That's a belted Galloway cow. I don't really get on with cows, as you may have heard. They have this weird thing of needing to stand next to you, which is fine when you're standing still, but when you move away, they don't like that you've moved away, so they follow you, generally sideways and usually onto your foot, which is what happened to me. I'll send you a picture of what happened to my foot in that scene. But actually looking at it again, considering we were using a prosthetic cow and a real one, beautifully shot by our lead director, Brian Percival, wonderfully put together, and still, I think, really funny. The only problem with it was that the soup that they made, that came out of the cow's stomach, was made of sort of spinach soup with added oatmeal. I think it was entirely organic, but they had to keep it cold to stop it going bad, which meant that on a fairly brisk spring day, it was absolutely freezing. And we did 2 takes, I think. So I don't remember that with any pleasure, but the scene as a whole, I think, is delightful. And long may things like that continue. Lots of love to you, and see you at the next one, I hope. Please invite me back. Bye.
As evidence of how traumatic this was, he did also send a photo of his foot. I need you to be warned. Okay, that's enough of the foot, thank you.
That's enough of that.
But it sounds like this scene was a lot of fun, like spinach soup in your face?
I mean, poor James Fleet, who's, he's a very celebrated English vicar of Dick. We got him in for 3 days and shot green slime. It got under his eyelids. Like this, honestly, we felt so bad. We were in the car back from that, and we were like, "Are you all right, James?" He was like, "I hope you get me back next season." We were like, "Oh, great, yeah, brilliant."
Also, the cannon that they use, like SFX guys, so they just bash things together in a shed somewhere. There's a UK show called Scrap Heap Challenge, where they just go to a scrapyard and have to make something. And it's kind of the same thing here. So the cannon was a sawed off the end of a fire extinguisher, filled with the soup, with a bit of hose pipe leading to a car battery, which they then triggered. And the first 2 times it didn't go off. So like the tension was killing us. So in the 3rd time they were like, rack it up to full. And honestly, it almost took my eyebrows off. It was like
The idea of waiting to get shot in the face with it and then it not happening, I can't. Ugh. All right, very fast lightning round, good or bad co-stars. Chickens?
Great, but really
They're all right.
loud.
Yeah, they are loud, yeah.
You have to take them out eventually, because... Did they get busy?
Really bad for continuity because they just keep laying eggs everywhere. And they're like, there wasn't eggs over there last time.
It's just too exciting.
Horses?
Good, but they're the most daunting, I think, out of all the
Really?
They're very powerful creatures.
And you have to do like hoof work a lot of the time.
Yeah,
which
I mean,
seems-
luckily it is more Sam. Siegfried was
Yeah.
the horse vet. So yeah.
He's brilliant with them as well. He's fantastic with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm quite scared of them, and they're big, large animals. And all the time, I grew up in the country, you get told, don't go to the back end of the horse, give it a wide berth.
Yeah.
And then I start this job, and they're like, get to the back end of that horse.
Seems terrifying. And then the last one I was going to ask about, well, cats seem like nightmares. Are cats nightmares? Yeah. Okay, great. Just confirming.
Yes.
I love cats, but yeah, yep. And then I was going to ask, so in the beginning of series 2, you have this storyline with a parakeet.
Oh yes.
That you then also, I assume, I mean, obviously there's like a dead parakeet that you then have sort of hidden around Skelldale House that you're, yeah.
One that I performed the CPR on.
Yeah.
Yes, that one, yes.
Yeah, and so it's just like a little model of a parakeet that you have.
Yeah.
But you do also at some point have to grab a parakeet and.
Yeah. In that scene, there was a live parakeet that I got taught how to get its like, little head in between your fingers there and sort of pull it out like that. And the first time I did it, the bird just like stopped completely still. He was like really acting with
You
me.
were
I was
like-
I play it dead now, right? Like that. I was like, yeah, you're nailing this. This is great.
Okay, all right. So I want to ask about romance on the show. I think it's something that is really an important piece of the overall sort of tonal balance of what it is. I think it is also, we all want that thing where it's like, are they going to get together? But I'm curious about sort of trying to find balance in realism. It is not a show. I know, in series 2, Mrs. Hall has this nice sort of like, is she going to date this nice man? I think there are probably a lot of people who are like, is she going to date Siegfried? I knew. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about, in particular, about Helen's development as a romantic character, because it would be so easy for that to be, for Mrs. Hall, for that to be something that she is. I think Mrs. Hall could just be their housekeeper forever, right? And it's so nice that Mrs. Hall gets like other things to do sometimes, and I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about that and the development of that over the show.
Yeah, because we sort of dropped in a little bit, I think, in series 1 of a bit of a backstory. She's married and separated from her husband, which was quite unusual at that time. And Gerald's appearance on the scene, I think, opens up a side of her life that she'd sort of quite happily boxed away and neglected, and she's quite happy. She has a good life in the village, and it's all going really well. And I think he increasingly, as it goes on, shakes that up in a good way. I think he's wonderful company. He understands the war with her. He understands, they just have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun taking the dogs for a walk with Gerald, and they never go the direction we want, but. It's a really lovely other side of her life, because her world is small. It's all within the house. She looks after all these guys, and I think Gerald's the first person in now 3 series. He's the first person who's brought me a cup of tea. So, we like Gerald.
I brought you one.
Oh, right at the
not
end.
Not offset.
No, I brought you one.
Well, he maybe put the idea in your mind, mate. So it's lovely to see that other side of her life and that world, and because she's part of that community as well, it opens all that up. So we'll see where that goes.
We'll see. So these Siegfried shipper people over here, they have like a little hope or no hope or...
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. That's totally on the fence answer, but it's...
Maybe is not no.
You'll like episode 7 of the next series. Am I allowed to say that?
Just did, yeah.
I wanted to ask also, for series 3, obviously you get married, that becomes a very different part of the show. How does that kind of change the dynamic of the relationships? Because it is a huge shift for how we have seen these characters over the past 2 series.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, firstly, just filming that was just amazing. Like I remember reading the episode and just smiling like a Cheshire cat the whole time. I was like, this is just stunning. Like, it just seemed perfect to pick up place from the end of season 2, and it just felt like fireworks, celebration, crescendo, like brilliant. I hope you really enjoy it. For that relationship, it's they're no longer I and I. They are now we. They're a team. James has got everything that he's ever wanted, but now he needs to financially cover 2 people now as well, and he wants to do better for the practice and keep driving that forward as well, which then ends up knocking heads with Siegfried a little bit and things like that. But they become a we. Helen ends up helping James out with certain things along the way as well within the practice and things like that. So. They become a team in this one.
I wanted to ask about the war, which feels like this looming thing. It sort of starts to color in the 2nd series and seems like it's going to be more a part of series 3. As I was telling people that I was going to be doing this panel, that was a question that a lot of people had, and I think it is this anxiety about like, are you going to take my favorite animal comfort show and now make it be about this much darker, scarier, very real thing? And I'm curious what conversations you had about that, as far as how to depict those storylines this coming season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the war is there, and it can't be ignored. But at the end of the day, this is still the same show. This is still All Creatures Great and Small, and it's still happy and uplifting with sad moments peppered throughout. It's not. Yes, absolutely. Here. But it's about it was never about turning it into a show about the World War. It was about showing how the World War affected these people in these places. So we're not going to be going to the trench. It's showing the effect that it had on Darrowby. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because it brings out the strength of that community, and I think it also series 3 will sort of dive into the history of these characters a little bit more in lots of different ways, and it, I think it, for all the characters, it brings to mind what's most important to them, who's most important, so that heightens that sense in them and that thinking, and can make them behave in different ways. So that's potentially quite fun and loving and warm and close.
Yeah, I mean, I think as I was thinking about that question, I was surprised by how often I got that question, and I was trying to think about why that would be, and I think this show seems to have played such an important role in a lot of people's lives for the last couple of years. Like, it really feels like an anchor for a lot of people. But in the same sense, I think that it is very easy to oversimplify it as like a nice comfort show, when from the beginning, I mean, the very first episode, there is this scene where James is like, this animal is maybe going to die, right? And you were really uncertain about whether or not that's going to happen. And I wonder if you could talk just a little bit about the tonal balance of about the need for there to be this sort of darker element of it as well, to play against a lot of the more comic things, because it seems like it's something you all approach with really seriously in your performances. If you do not have this risk that things could go badly, I don't know if it would feel as good when they go well, you know?
Yeah, certainly. I think talking about the tone, you've got the risk of it maybe becoming a bit twee, or, and I think what our lead writer, Ben Vanstone, has done wonderfully well is, I think it's steeped in truth. It's anchored in a truth and a reality that we can that works so well, and people can identify with. And it's something that I loved about it from day one. Reading the audition sites I got through, I was like, these are brilliant. These are so good, because the characters are so three-dimensional. They're based on real people. They're so three-dimensional, so multifaceted. For an actor, it's brilliant to be able to play them in these multitude of different scenarios. And the relationships as well are so strong, and that's down to our lead writer and it being rooted in a truth. It's rooted in truth. It's a show about kindness, compassion for the animals, but also for one another, and it's steeped in love as well, which I think, and with that comes highs and lows. Yeah. So
because when you read the stories, they're a real mixture. Some of them have you laughing out loud, and some of them are desperately sad. And I think it would be wrong to not have that in there. The role of these animals in a lot of people's lives isn't just as a pet, which is incredibly valuable to people, but is people's livelihoods as well. So this the seriousness of that role in people's lives is something we need to keep alive, and also always remembering that we don't know. As with the war, they don't know what's going to happen. We know, but they don't know. So it's they're always working with the information that they have, and so that keeps that sense of, will it work, won't it, always alive in all their stories. Yeah.
Do you have pets? Do you think differently about pets and animals now, having done this for several years?
I have a little doggy, yes. I have a little cavapoo called Ralph. I named it after Nick. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I got him, I think, just before we started Series 2, and I think I've always wanted a dog, but yeah, probably doing Series 1 and enjoying the doggy company on that, and then just sort of thinking, like, well, if I get a dog, what job would be better to bring that dog to work to than All Creatures Great and Small? Like, he can just hang out with the other 15 dogs that are, like, always there. So, yeah.
And he comes to set with you now?
Yeah, I've got lots of photos of Ralph in the makeup chair, getting...
There's lots of friends, because there's one on the costume truck, isn't there?
Yeah,
the new
there
puppy
is.
this year.
Yes,
And so
yeah.
There's
But
a few.
I wanted to obviously get Ralph into the show as like a, someone's
Stage
little dog.
parent
Absolutely,
kind of a thing.
yeah, 100%. But I was unfortunately informed that he would just not have existed in the 30s. Because
Really?
he's a cavapoo.
So you made the mistake of getting an anachronistic dog.
Yeah. But my argument for that was, Tristan's like a real trendsetter.
Oh, wow.
He's always got like the first of everything in Darrowby, so...
Maybe if we run for years and years, we may get him in.
How many years would you have to, like, decades to get this?
Maybe, yeah.
Well, fingers crossed, right? I have been mentioning, my sense as a critic that this show really has resonated with people. I am curious, I know, watch this from the perspective of a UK audience. I am sure it is at least a little similar to an American response, which is that there's like, for example, we decided to make this panel. We were like, we're not sure. I mean, I'm sure some people will come. It'll be a great time. It sold out, right? And so there is this sense that something about this show really hits. But I'm curious from your guys' perspective, like, what it is about the show. That is it about this particular moment in history? Is it like pandemic stuff and we're all broken? Is it about like what? Because it does feel very special. But I'm curious from your perspective, like what it is about the show that really seems to have struck such a chord.
I think it's a mix of like some of the things that you said there. It's about relationships and about the relationships that you have with people, whether it's family, friends, or romantic. And there's someone can relate to anything in that show, at least one thing. And obviously it did come at a time when I think a lot of people needed cheering up, and so I think that helped as well.
Are there any stories you can tease for us for the upcoming series, other than whatever is going to happen in episode 7, which some people are clearly going to just lose their minds about?
It might not be what you're thinking, though. But it might.
We've got Darrowby's first car chase coming up. That's pretty cool.
With antique cars?
With antique. It's the slowest car chase you'll ever see in your life. I could run faster than it.
And you have to wrestle a cat.
I do. Yeah, look out for that. Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, we kick off. I think there was a teaser released just recently, within the last couple of days. We do start with a wedding in episode 1.
I make an amazing cake.
You make an amazing cake. So we have that to look forward to. As I've already said, I absolutely loved the script. And also, actually, on the day of filming, we had Alf White, James Edditt's real son and daughter at the wedding, watching their fictional parents get married. They're called Jim and Rosie. Rosie shed a tear. We had a picture taken. It was lovely. And whenever we meet up, she always comes up to me and goes, "Hello, Dad." That's it. I just have to do it once, Nick. That's why I'm like, it's all right, Rosie, it's all right. So that was a really special moment as well, to have them there and to have their backing for the show as well. In general, they're closely. We work with them closely, and it's wonderful to have them, and to have them not only there but also enjoying the show as well. It's really special.
And we get some lovely insights into the younger Siegfried and some backstory. Yeah, you get a little bit more of characters before you've met them in series 1, they're really wonderful. They're great scripts. So,
and you'll get
exciting.
a backstory for Mrs. Hall too. Yes, you get like
we learn a little more. Yeah.
It's gonna be very exciting. Very exciting. So I want you to please put your hands together for this incredible cast. They will be back on your screens January 8th. This new season will be back. We're all incredibly excited. But I want you to stay in your seats. They are going to head out, but we have 2 surprises for you. One is we're going to watch a scene from season 3. And the other is that on your way out, I believe we have some presents for you, and particularly for furry friends of yours. So one more round of applause.
James, look at this.
Oh, James, is that you? How was it? Good trip? Yeah. Hello.
Has he seen it yet? The sign? Good God, why is that thing always out of its cage?
I did notice the sign, but why?
Name above the door. Wedding present. Well, not a present. You've deserved it. Earned it. Commitment to the cause and whatnot.
Sorry, deserved what?
He's making you partner.
Oh, Mrs. Hall, I was really rather hoping to tell him that myself.
Partnership? In the practice, a 50-50 split?
Well, plenty of time to iron out the details.
Thank you, Siegfried. Really?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, good God. No need to get all dewy-eyed about it.
Oh, the boy's happy. Leave him be.
See you again soon. You're back. How was it? I want to hear all about it. Let me just get changed, and we'll go to the Drovers.
Actually, we thought we might go and get settled in the bedsit. Didn't we, James?
We did? Oh, right, we did. We did.
Oh, James, you'll find another little wedding present installed in your new home.
At least it'll save traipsing all the way downstairs. We'll find somewhere new. I promise.
James, it's perfect. As long as we're here together, it'll be perfect.
Someone else will get it. Oh, for goodness sake! That'll be 2 tonight's, Evan.